Today, as we celebrate the third quarter moon and remember the Via Positiva and the season of Lúnasa, let us take a look at savoring the first fruits of life on today's Creations Path. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I am a non-binary sci-fi fantasy writer. I'm also a practicing druid. I'm joined by my wonderful husband.
Hello,
His,
savoring. Oh,
his name is Brian, and he didn't say it. I thought he might actually say it, but he didn't.
this one has the name.
So today, as we are just celebrating the third quarter moon, which we like to associate each of the quarters of the moon with one of the paths of creation spirituality. And the third quarter moon is the Via Positiva, the first path. When I was look at the themes and everything associated with the four paths, the first path is the season of harvest. You're gathering and sharing and learning hospitality and humility and earthiness and all of those things that to me are more associated with fall and with the third quarter. We've talked a lot about bringing in the first fruits. We've talked about where to find the first fruits, how to go about actually bringing them in. I love that we get to end our lunar cycle on this of the series of meditations on savoring, because one of the great themes of the Via Positiva is recovering the lost art of savor. To learn to actually just truly savor what we have in front of us, not just eating because we're eating, not just drinking so that we can drink. Getting past this utilitarianism that has infected the world with the advent of capitalism and industrialism. Learning once again to just have those moments of pure savor, just to take it in, to experience it. I almost feel like people don't understand what it means to savor anymore.
When we first got together, I disturbed you greatly because I didn't exactly know how to savor. I knew how to celebrate in and how to recognize and enjoy things, but savoring, no. I grew up in a somewhat military household, at least in the sense that when it came to eating, you put the food all in your mouth, you chew it later. That's the old army joke. Chew your food later when you're marching. It was very much part of the culture of the household. So when we sat down and ate, we shoveled all the food in our mouth, we chewed as we were leaving the room. There was no savoring. And I remember that, to help you teach me this, you had me sit down and you had me get a pomegranate and sit down and eat this pomegranate. And I remembered it at first being really, really frustrated because I spent like 2 hours eating one stupid pomegranate. But the lesson I learned of how to savor, not only recognize the good qualities in the pomegranate, it was juicy, it was flavorful, I could understand all that, but to actually sit there in the moment, mindfully just appreciating the awe and wonder of this fruit, and it was very profound. It helped me to gain that appreciation, being in moments of joy, being celebrating moments, that kind of stuff. It's not quite the same because savoring is actually allowing yourself to just exist in that moment of.
Savoring is relational. See, joy is something that you can just find in something. Like, I can have joy in a sunset, and the sun doesn't need to know. The sun's only tangentially a part of it. And actually, if we want to be technical, the sun's already gone away. It took the light of the sun 8 minutes to reach me. So where I'm seeing it is actually not where the sun is. The sun's already gone. I'm still having this moment here, and I can have that joy. And you can savor the sunset, but you have to actually be in relationship. Part of savoring is that understanding of once it's gone, it's gone. It's seeing that via negativa moment that's coming. Eventually, you're going to have to swallow, and the flavor is going to wash away. Eventually, the sun's going to go down, and that beautifully painted sky and horizon is going to fade tonight. There's this delicate understanding that this moment is special. For that moment to truly be special, you have to walk into relationship with it. And that's something you can't do just by going, tastes good.
Yeah, you have to be present. You can't be thinking about laundry and dishes and kids and work and everything else in that same moment, because then you're not there. You are with the dishes, you're with the kids, you're not in that moment savoring whatever it is in the moment you're savoring.
You can appreciate the scent of a rose. You can appreciate the look of the rose. To savor the rose is to sit with the rose. And you really have to sit with it for a moment. You can stand too, but you have to be with it. Look at the delicacy of each petal, the scent, the aroma, the appearance, how it's moving in the breeze if you're outside. It's taking into effect all of the little bits and pieces. Thich Nhat Hanh has a ritual that he asks people to do related to this that either involves a tea ceremony or the eating of an orange. It takes you half an hour to an hour to eat an orange because you're sitting there mindfully with each moment, with the smell, just the scent, the beauty of the orange itself. And then as it's breaking open and those oils are being released and the scent is coming out, and then slowly peeling it apart and separating the segments one from another, and then one by one slowly putting them into your mouth and squeezing the juice into your mouth and just letting it sit there and just experiencing that juiciness and all of the flavor and aroma and texture and feel, the just being there with the full experience of it. And if you've never actually done a ritual like that, I highly, highly recommend it. And if oranges aren't your favorite thing, pick your favorite fruit. I think you can do
Yeah.
this also with candy, but
Yeah.
I think that whatever you pick needs to be a full experience. So it should have a scent, a texture, and a flavor.
It helps, especially to pick something that is personal to you, because then you already have the start of that relationship. Or if you're extra stubborn like me, a pomegranate, and have it be guided, and have somebody sit over you with a stick. I'm just kidding. There was no stick involved.
I
But
love.
I was extra. Yeah, I needed that level. Yeah.
I originally learned this with the pomegranate. The teacher who was teaching me, I was only allowed to eat one of those jewels at a time. We are taught to have this utilitarian relationship with everything, including pleasure,
Yeah.
including joy, including happiness, including the relationships that we have in our life. And to sit back and like with a pomegranate or like with Thich Nhat Hanh
The
and the
orange.
orange, segment by segment, and just really, truly experiencing all that that segment of the orange has to offer. I like to do this every fall and winter when the tangerines come in because that's one of my favorite fruits of all time. It can take me 30 minutes to an hour to eat one
Just
itty bitty
little.
little tangerine.
Yeah. It's also how you peel it. As you peel it, it's savoring the act of peeling it, recognizing how much pith that you would like to have in that bite. Because just because it peels in the way it peels, you may want to peel it more. You may want to peel it less. That savoring just, yeah, it's a relationship. It's a relationship with it. It's a relationship with yourself, with that moment.
This to me is why a lot of friendships feel hollow to me nowadays. I know I have a good friendship when we can sit silently in a room together and we're both perfectly all right with that. It's not that I don't enjoy the talking or the games or whatever else you might be doing with your friends, but there's something special about having a friend that just being together, just sharing space with each other is enough. And that you can savor that just being there with each other. There's a certain closeness that you realize that you have with people that you don't have to always be talking. You don't always have to be telling a joke or doing an activity together. All of our relationships benefit from taking this time to savor our time together. It's one of the things that when I've talked to younger people that are looking for a relationship and they're not sure, what am I doing wrong? Da 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 da. Da. And the question that I almost always ask is, do you hug? Do you cuddle? Yeah, it's possible to have a relationship without hugs and cuddles, but it's difficult to have a close relationship. If your time together is just utilitarian, like I remember the first really, really close friendship group that I had. we spent most of our time in puppy piles. We would be reading, for example, and we would all get on the floor and we would each be the back of the other person's chair. And there'd be, 5, 10, 15 of us on the floor in this one friend's living room, just clustered up together, propping up, using each other's legs as pillows, and just reading books. That closeness, having the trust to allow people to be that close with you, knowing that there are no ulterior motives in this closeness, that it's just, we are here, we're together. It really cemented those relationships, and that they've lasted so long in my life, that of that group of people, there's still one person from that group that all these decades later, I still talk to occasionally, even though we've moved to different states and had very different lives and everything. I'm not friends with a lot of people that I knew in high school, but every person that I am still talking to that I knew in high school, that's the kind of relationship I had with them. That closeness where we just savored being together. We weren't always together just to go out and do things, or to sit out, get together and talk, or to share, or we would just be together, just savoring those relationships. And those are the ones that lasted. All of the other ones where I have many friends from that period of time that I can think of that I had crazy fun with. We ran around, we got into adventures, we did all manner of things. But if we weren't in the middle of an adventure, we didn't really spend time together. Like, as soon as the adventure was over, there was no question that we were going home, right? Because we didn't have that kind of relationship. We didn't have that closeness. And I think about this a lot, especially in this day and age where we're talking about this epidemic of loneliness that people have. And I'm one of the worst people to talk to about that, because I am introverted as they come. I like being alone in my cave, away from the world, and I need that alone time. But I do feel lonely when I don't have any human interactions, any reactions with other people. It's about that quality of those relationships, though. The answer to this is not just be around other people. That helps. That's step one. If we're not being around other people, we're not going to develop deep, meaningful relationships. But you have to find things that you can either savor the relationship between you and the other person, or that you can get together and relish in the savoring of something else. I'm not one who typically joins groups and runs around with other people. And the way that I had so many friends when I was growing up these were my Star Trek friends. These were my Vampire the Masquerade friends. These were my goth friends. And those friendship groups initially gathered around our shared love for and interest in a thing. My Star Trek friends, if you will. That's what my mom always called them, my Star Trek friends. Because every time we were together, we were talking about Star Trek. That was the natural thing for her to group us together as, and it's what we were. But we loved Star Trek. We would get together and we would talk about the latest episode and what happened in the series and what we thought was going to happen next. And, oh, did you see the comic? Did you read the book? Whatever. We spent that time, and I think this is important, especially with the internet and the way the internet works now. Not necessarily theory crafting, though we did some of that. Not necessarily digging down and doing deep dives into, did you notice all the little things in the episode? Though we did do some of that. But just celebrating what we loved about it. I had a friend who we were very into the Klingons, and we decided together to buy Mark Orkran's book and learn to speak Klingon. The two of us were studying this book and learning this made-up language. It was originally out of love for this franchise, these characters that we loved in that show. But I still talk to her today. She's still one of my dearest friends because we savored this thing together. It got to the point where we were writing poetry in Klingon and sharing it with each other because who else could read it? It was that savoring that brought us together, that cemented us together. This is what our society is missing right now. It's the one thing that's been drowned out. I remember when I was a kid and we'd go to a 4th of July celebration in Bacon Park in Frederick, Maryland. And everybody was there just in anticipation of the fireworks. Often we get a spot down by the band shell to hear whatever random assortment of, sure, fine, we'll call most of the musicians that were performing on the stage. We were all there for not just for a nationalistic reason, we were there in a community way. We had people that were from our neighborhood that would come out. Eventually, we stopped going downtown and went to a friend of ours' house who lived up on a mountain. And from that mountain, we could not only see the local fireworks in Frederick, but we could see the fireworks in neighboring towns from his house. It wasn't just our families that got together. It was just he had this nice large property up on the side of a mountain. And all these people from our church and community and friends, we would all gather up at his house. And yes, we'd have this wonderful food that would be cooked in the just innumerable amount of grills. Like every dad that was there had a grill and was grilling something and sitting there talking and doing their thing. And all the kids from all these families, we were together and we were just enjoying the moment because this was a beautiful farm to be on. A beautiful hill looking out over the valley. Beautiful place to be. And then the night would come and there we'd watch the fireworks start here because the fireworks times were always scattered. I don't know if the towns actually worked that out amongst themselves or it just happened to be that way. But somebody would shout, "Oh, there's one over there in such and such town." And we'd all turn to that part of the yard and look out the mountain and watch the fireworks over there. And people would be hooting and hollering and clapping their hands and celebrating, savoring these beautiful dancing flames in the sky. And then somebody else would shout, "Oh, look, they're starting over there." Everybody turned and just move our attention one by one through all the fireworks displays. In that unity, in that savoring together, we all became really close. My parents are still friends with them all these many, many, many years later. And that's because we had something to savor together. Because yes, savoring can and should happen alone. Savor your morning coffee or beverage or whatever. Get off work and make that tea that just gives you life. Take that one favorite candy and just hold it in your mouth and just enjoy the sheer joy of it. But when you find people that you can savor things together with, that's how real communities form. That's where real joy comes into our lives. And we've been talking about unity and competition and all of these things throughout this month where we're focused on the gatherings of Lúnasa. That's where you really find those deep connections and build these relationships that will be with you forever. And some people do find that in their religious communities. When I find another person who's a devotee of Bridget, it's like being a kid again. "You like Bridget too?" "Yes, we're friends now." And it's not that simple, but we have something to talk about. And we're going to talk about this and that. And, "Oh, have you read this story? Did you see this poem? Have you ever had this happen to you in your prayers and your devotions and your meditations? How about this? Have you ever felt the call to work on things like this?" And those conversations just happen and we're savoring our relationship with Bridget together.
That's the thing. Savoring is connectedness.
Yes.
It's celebrating and connecting yourself into that moment in time when time becomes timeless because you're just in the moment. There was no past. There is no future. It is just you in that moment savoring it. It connects you in with whatever you're savoring. Like you said, that could be others. That could be a shared activity. You could savor your creative acts. I often will savor when cooking. Time falls away, appreciating the sacrifice of the plants and animals that went into making the food and respecting the ingredients. I'm appreciating and connecting in with each ingredient and observing all the senses: smell, taste, sound. Oftentimes I get teased for listening to and speaking with the food, and I'm in those moments of savoring. But there is a communication that's going on there. It does talk. It talks to me at least. I listen. It tells me when it's done, when it's ready, how much longer it needs to go.
It's how you know you're a chef.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's in everything, that connectedness and connection that comes back in.
As somebody who grew up on a farm, I remember we'd go out and it's time to bring the tomatoes in because we're going to make tomato sauce. It's that time. Frost is getting near, or the heat, rains are over, everything's going to start drying out in the heat because, Midwest and August, September times. It often gets very hot and dry. So we'd be pulling in all these tomatoes. I mean, bushels and bushels and bushels of tomatoes. And big ones got cut up to go into the pot. And the little ones just kept disappearing. Who knows where they were going? Hey, kid, everybody knew where they were going. You'd be going through your pot and, oh, there's just a little one there. Yonk. And that pop, that fresh tomato right off the vine, just popping in your mouth, and just that joy of it. And just with everything that we were harvesting. You're harvesting the green beans, a couple for the canning, one for me. A couple for the canning, one for me, right? There was a savoring that came in when we were bringing that in. It was a celebration because one, we knew we were going to have all this food for the winter, for the fall and the winter, but also just this joy of here it was. I remember we'd bring in the corn. It was a race to get the first, depending on how many people were there to help us shuck the corn so we could get the corn processed. If there were 4 of us there, the first 4 years, got to hurry up and get them shucked and cleaned and get all the silk out because they needed to go right into the pot because we were gonna eat those first 4 right then and there because that beautiful golden corn had been out there growing and growing and growing, and now it was ready. It was time. Hurry up, and we'd peel back the outer layers and get the brushes out and start getting the silk out from between the kernels. Get them into that salted pot of water. Just when that smell, it's how you knew they were done. You never set a timer. You suddenly smell this wonderful corn smell coming out of that water. And in the tongs would go. And out they came, and on the butter went. And suddenly they were all gone. Because that was the joy in it. We'd worked so hard to keep the bugs off the plants, to keep the rabbits out of the field, keep the animals out, to get those plants to grow. Now we had the harvest. One of my happiest memories as a kid, actually, are some of those harvests that we had. Sitting in with my great-grandmother and my grandmother and my mom, sometimes some other folk that would come to join us. Just all the conversations around the table as everything was getting processed so that it could get into the jars so it could get canned so we'd have it for the rest of the year. Magical times. And if you're looking for more of that magic in your life, find things you can savor, either alone or with others. Be able to find them. I hope this episode has helped you out. I hope you found something to savor, or remembered something you used to love to savor that maybe you stopped letting yourself have access to. But find something to just bring into your life to just enjoy it. I really love mint, and I keep mints by my desk, and anytime I'm feeling a little low or depressed or sad, I'll just pop a mint in and just close my eyes for a minute and just smell it, taste it, and just bring it in. It can be a little thing.
To be meta and savor the episode on savoring.
Hopefully this has helped you out. If you know somebody that needs to help rediscover the lost art of savoring, send this to them. Hopefully it'll help them out. Because that's what we're here for, is to try to bring more light and life into people's lives. And if you haven't already, depending on where you're listening to us, hit the like button, subscribe, follow, any of those things that you can do. If you're on a place like Apple Podcasts and you can leave a review, please leave a review. That really helps us out a lot, more than you know.
If you have someone in your life that you know is bad at savoring and needs to savor, share it. Send it to them.
And if you haven't already, head over to Wisdom's Cry. Yeah, you can head over to wisdomscry.com. That's where I put all of my journaling and thoughts on various spiritual matters over there. There's a lot over there, a whole bunch of stuff being written up about Bridget right now that's going to be showing up there soon. You can head over to creationspast.com. Get our regular newsletter. I have to say we're about to launch another podcast over there. Don't worry, this one's going to be weekly. It's going to be bringing regular meditations every week, little guided meditations, guided prayers, guided rituals, things of that nature into your life to help you really connect with all of the things that we've been talking about. We're also going to be doing some classes over there. So if you have a few dollars, you can pass our way. It really does help us out to pay the bills and make sure that we have food on our table. Those of you who share with us will be getting those classes before they go out to everyone else as a little bit of a thank you. And also to make sure that we can give you a little bit special attention in the comments and stuff for them. Thank you all so much for everything that you do. And until next time, find something to savor and just bask in its light. Amen.
Amen.